Hello, welcome. So today we're going to be taking a look at r/Am I the Devil, which I think is a great one to read when it is nearly midnight. Honestly, if I could sleep normally just for one day, it would be amazing. Well, would it though? Because I feel like it would take away a lot of my weird charm, so maybe not. So yeah, if you would love to judge some big old definitely gaping board holes today with me, then please do stick around and enjoy. And don't forget to like and subscribe, please. Thank you. And of course, a little disclaimer, any opinions that I give on the post that we read are just that. They are just opinions. They are not facts and do not need to be taken as such. If you have a different opinion, then please do share it in the comments. Just make sure you keep it respectful with everyone. There is no need to be mean if you do not agree with other people and their opinions. With that being said, what's the first post then? Okay, so the first post's been shared by Was There a Need, saying fighting for his life in the comments. As they always are, yes. This one was originally posted by Am I the Hole, and it says, Am I the Hole for making too many jokes about my friend? Probably. When it comes to someone like, I'm just making jokes, you just know, don't you? Anyway, I'm 18 and hanging out with a friend in his room. He's got this throw blanket under the covers of his bed, and I jokingly point it out in a baby voice. What's wrong with a throw blanket? I have about 20 dotted around my house. He sarcastically replies that, you can't say that because I get anxious sometimes. We laugh and he justifies it, seriously, by saying how it helps him with his anxiety. I could imagine it does. Throw blankets feel wonderful to wrap yourself up in, especially the fleecy ones. Love it. He then tells a story about how great his boyfriend is. He told his boyfriend about how it's annoying to wash because, well, if it's washing or drying, he doesn't have it. So his boyfriend brought him an extra one to have and washed it in lavender before giving it to him because apparently that's calming. Oh, that's so cute. I love the smell of lavender, one of my favourite scents. And to be fair, I need calming because I am just a ball of anxiety waiting to pop most of the time. Not gonna lie, don't actually think I even know what lavender smells like. I'm like, wow, so you're the bottom. What? Just because he has a blanket? And also, wouldn't you like to know? He laughs and I continue being like, actually, are you sure you're a gay man and not just a woman? What is this vitriol against blankets? And I say, not because you'd think that to look at him, he's not what? I'm not going to say that because I don't know what it means, and I have a feeling it may be a derogatory term. I know that it's used in the gay community in some way, but I don't know if it's one of those things where it's like you can only say it if you're part of the club. Do you know what I mean? So we're going to err on the side of caution. As I always tell my youngest kid, if you don't know what a word is, you don't say it until you know what it means. He looks normal, but under it all, there isn't much else letting him say he's a man. Said soon he's going to be one of those women with like 1 million stuffed animals on their bed despite being 20, and talked about a girl at my uni like that. This person just sounds like such an asshole. Oh my goodness. They sound like that sort of person that's like, everybody sucks and I'm obviously superior to everyone because I don't enjoy things. Only losers enjoy things. Like, mate, fucking hell. You may feel a little less vitriol towards people for absolutely nothing if you let yourself enjoy things. I don't know. Then mentioned people younger than you went to war. What did they do, you think, when they got anxious? They have no right to be criticizing other people when they're writing like this. And normally I wouldn't say anything about the way, because my thumbs sometimes have me type in all sorts of weird stuff. Like autocorrect is on the struggle bus with me because I tend to write at 1,000,000 miles an hour and don't check my work. But I think they're supposed to say, what do you think they do when they get anxious? Well, maybe some of them have a throw blanket. Maybe some of them have a teddy. And what? Then again, suppose he'd like that environment. Lots of muscular men in a shared living space. Keep in mind, I said this all in a very specific tone, basically mocking the types of people to say it and mean it. Oh, piss right off, did ya? But my friend actually likes snaps. Well, snaps is an exaggeration. Says, right, okay, you can stop it now. It sounds like you have an issue. Yeah. I tell him to calm down. I'm obviously joking. He says it's annoying. I say, where's this coming from? He was laughing at them. Is he trying to be annoyed at me for some reason? There's people like that who enjoy getting mad, so find reasons to. Like, you're finding a reason to get mad over a bloody throw blanket. He looks a bit stunned and asks why the fuck I'm acting like this. Then things get a bit awkward, but we move on. I don't know, because was jokes, and he could have stopped me sooner or show any sign he didn't like them. Yeah, emotional intelligence is something that I don't think this person has, and that's not me trying to be like sarcastic or mean or whatever. Like, genuinely, I don't think they have any emotional intelligence. I think that they have some sort of hang up going on, whether it is homophobia or something, because yeah, this is just ridiculous. Like, it's like most people I know have at least one throw blanket on either the sofa or in their bed. Like, dudes included. It's not a gender-based thing. Yeah, nothing should be a gender-based thing, like, when it comes to stuff like that, like, what you put inside your house. Like, that's ridiculous. So, down in the comments, Rock Juice says he justifies it by, we have to justify why we have blankets on our beds now? And then Puzzle-Headed Bet 8041 says, Jesus fucking Christ, I haven't even read the post yet, and seeing your comment tells me I'm going to be in pain once I do. Honestly, you're going to be in pain because it's hard to decipher what they're saying, my goodness. But yeah, no, most ridiculous thing I think I've read today. Okay then, next post, and I pray to the Reddit gods that this is written better because my brain cannot handle it right now. I swear. So this one was reposted by PhysicalBuy2566. Girlfriend hides keys because she needs space. Okay. Am I the butthole for being unable to live in a party environment? I would say no off the bat, but let's dig into it first, because I'm assuming it didn't end up here for nothing. I, 28F, live with my boyfriend, 27M. I moved in with him about 8 months ago. I have disabilities and sensory issues. This is important. In general, he is respectful of the accommodations I need. My boyfriend is a professional sculptor and has his studio in our house. That is amazing. Like, honestly, amazing. How interesting. I love when people just turn, like, art or creativity into a business. Like, it really pleases me. I don't know why, because it's like that. I'm not even that person. I don't know them from Adam, but just seeing them doing their thing, it's like, oh, I love that for you. I don't know you, but I love that for you. It's in a place I have to walk through to get to the bathroom and yard, and there's not another good place in the house for it. The problem is that I'm constantly affected by the way my boyfriend acts while he's working. He listens to music while he works on his headphones and is always rocking out with his body motions, mouthing the song lyrics, etc. He says it helps him work, and I understand this. Okay, so if you only have to pass by him to go to the toilet and to go to the yard, why can you not just shut the door and just let him do his thing? If he's listening to it on his headphones, and yeah, I understand, by the way, I completely get that it can be very overwhelming if you have someone jumping around in the corner of your eye and you can see it all the time, but he is obviously being respectful and this is the way he works. And also, you've moved in with him 8 months ago. You knew what he did before then. I'm assuming you've seen him work before. And I also would not call this a party environment, by the way. In any way, shape or form. I understand having disabilities, sensory issues, needing accommodations. Oh my god, do I understand, you know, with a child on the spectrum and also having a good handful of chronic health issues myself now. I understand accommodations being needed and, you know, certain things that you might need in the house, but you also need to understand that there comes a point where you can't just control every micro movement within the house. just because of that. Do you know what I mean? It has to be a give and take, even still, even with a health issue, even with sensory issues. If you are going to decide to live with another person, you do have to then understand that you can't micromanage every single thing about the way they do things, because that's just not fair on them. You know, they need to be able to enjoy living in their own home too. Anyway, we will continue reading. He says it helps him work, and I understand this. The main conflict is the constant dancing and mouthing lyrics, which he says shouldn't matter because it's silent. I mean, yeah, shut the door on him. If you only need to go through to go to the bathroom, just shut the door on him. That's what I'd do if he was annoying me. I tried to explain to him that with my sensory issues, that's just the same as if I can hear the music. He says I could just enter that part of the house less while he's working. I mean, what? The bathroom is there. There are also problems with him bringing buyers over to see his work. We have policies around this. I need to be notified in advance and agree, which get broken. I've come home and there is a buyer in the house, and he thought it was fine because he didn't expect me home. Having a stranger in the house is very unsafe for me. I might be affected for days. He again suggested that I should just avoid his studio in that case, despite this being my home now too. Yes, but you knew all this before you moved in. If you knew you had these problems, and knowing what he does for work and that he is going to have buyers over, because otherwise, how is he supposed to pay for his portion of the bills if he can't do all of this? You should never have moved in with him if you knew all of this about the way he works and what he does for work. And if you knew already, because I would imagine you did, that that is going to be a problem for you, why did you move in together? I don't understand. I was having an extremely bad day yesterday, week really, and I just needed restorative peace in my own house, so I hid the key to his studio. So there is a door, so you could just shut the door. Nah, this is not okay, because this is what he does for work, and you knew this before you moved in. I told him I would give it back in an hour and just needed total rest for now, and said to him, like he said to me so many times, that maybe he should spend time in another part of the house. What? I really would have given the key back in an hour or so, but he freaked out and bluffed that I was going to make him lose a commission if he couldn't work right then, which gave me an anxiety attack, so this is where I may be the a-hole. I didn't return the keys until that night. No, that's not okay. You can't be messing with his work like that. That is so out of order. And especially knowing beforehand. And again, I want to repeat, I understand sensory issues are so hard to live with. Disabilities, chronic health issues are so hard to live with. But if you know that the person you're moving into lives in a way that is going to be problematic for you, you really have to sit there and say, is this worth it for both of us, you know? And it doesn't sound like it was. He thinks I'm the a-hole, but I think for the most part, I just wanted a little peace in my own home. Am I the butthole? I'm afraid you are, OP. I'm afraid you are. That's really not okay. Locking the door to his studio, not letting him work. That's really borderlining on controlling behaviour. And what if it was the other way round and it was a bloke doing it to a woman? A lot of people would be saying that that is a form of abuse, keeping someone away from their work, hiding the keys so that they can't get to their work and causing them a lot of emotional distress in that way. Do you know? So you can't just get a pass because you have sensory issues and health issues. It's still not okay behaviour. Update, I accept that I'm the butthole for hiding the keys to my boyfriend's studio. It was an a-hole moment, I was the a-hole. My boyfriend and I have now discussed several solutions to the problem I posted about, and none of them involve me hiding his keys. I will address other main comments. I asked my boyfriend if I'm abusive. He said no. So there's that. I mean, yeah, but so do so many people who are in relationships that are super controlling. To all of the disabled people who commented about work, I'm truly sorry you have to work while suffering through your pain, and then it's made you lack compassion for others. To all the non-disabled people who commented about work and social services, do any of you have any idea how hard it is to get a disability medically recognised in this country, let alone by the government? Why is it assumed that I never tried this option? Do you know what the government offered me? Not resources, not support, not even the financial resources to get all of the medical consultations which I would need to be diagnosed and meet their criteria. They offered me skills, training in jobs nobody would ever want. It's a broken system, there's no help to be had. To random house layout questions, I didn't design the house, the bathroom is where it is, the doors are where they are. To statements that it's not a disability, it is. Sensory disabilities make some people able to perceive very minor sounds and vibrations that other people could not. And yeah, I do understand that and I totally get that, but at the end of the day, if that's the case, I'm not sure it was a good idea moving in together if you knew that beforehand. So yeah, like I get that there's not a lot of resources for as far as help out there. I mean, in most countries, to be honest, there's not a lot of resources, and it's kind of for a lot of people like being stuck between a rock and a hard place. But yeah, you can't then start controlling the person's work who is bringing in the money then, because I'm guessing by that means that the OP wasn't at work, because a lot of people were mentioning work and training and blah blah blah. I'm assuming then that means that they're not working, which, you know, that is whatever, it is what it is. If they have a disability, if they have sensory issues, I get that. Who's to say what they're going through? But then that's even more of a problem then, if this OP is controlling their boyfriend and when they can work and trying to stop them bringing buyers in, when that is what's paying the bills and keeping the lights on and food on the table, you know? Anyway, so down in the comments, Pocket Notebook says, LOL, this one is one of the all-time Burrow big ones. She can't relax if she knows he's dancing, even if she can't see, hear, or feel it happening. What a nightmare person. Oh, well, that was left out, and we are definitely finding the Boru, by the way, don't you worry. And then Ladybug0570 says, didn't he find the post and end up dumping her and she was upset because her free ride was over? And then Trash Gouda says, God, I hope he did. So, of course, we found the post. And it was reposted to Boru by Change the Focus. And there is trigger warnings on that for emotional abuse. So, obviously, we're not going to go back, by the way, over all of what we've just read. So we're going to start where it comes to what people were asking the OP and what have you. So, many wondered how OOP could be bothered by silent dancing out of her sight. OOP says, I know that would sound completely unreasonable in a normal situation, yes, but hear me out. My sensory issues cause me to be hypervigilant of small, seemingly innocuous sounds, motions, and other things happening around me. It's not even a matter of being uncomfortable. It's the equivalent of having my mind and senses scrambled to where I cannot properly think or process information. If I were to move out, I'd be forced into homelessness. I do not have anyone else to stay with, which would obviously be worse for me, given everything. My boyfriend and I have promised to support each other through hard times, so I feel like I'm calling that in, but it's too much after the fact. Well, yeah, because you're trying to stop him from moving around in his own studio. OOP doesn't think it's unreasonable to ask him not to dance in his studio. OOP says, hear me out, it sounds like you think he would be actively harmed or unable to function if he occasionally refrained from dancing, but it's totally normal not to dance in general. Yeah, but when people are like creatives and they are into art and things like that, a lot of people do stuff like that because it helps them get into the flow of their work. It's usually against the rules to dance around on the bus or in your office because those actions can be annoying to everyone around. It's a basic social thing. On the other hand, I'm actively harmed and unable to function while he dances. My health conditions actively suffer, which also prevents my ability to work since some people here seem to think human worth comes down to having a job. I'm not trying to be combative here, but none of this is actually making sense. Why doesn't OOP have anyone else to stay with? OOP says, my parents offloaded me, my sister offloaded me. Since I'm mostly housebound, I have few friends. I'd love for this issue to magically vanish, but it's getting worse with the lack of support. OOP calls herself housebound, but she also leaves the house. OOP says, it's hard to explain, but I usually have a greater tolerance for some outdoor places than I do in my house, because I expect to be able to unwind in my house, be in total safety, whereas outside I've braced myself for issues. On good days, I spend time at the beach near the house and occasionally shopping. When pressed, OOP finally explained what disabilities she has. OOP says, I'm sorry to hear you have to do that. Why are people trying to one-up each other about how much they have to work while suffering? It's not a contest. I'm not taking anything away from other people's struggles because I'm physically unable to work while other people might be able to push on. To those who ask me to be specific, I have GERD IBS, in addition to general anxiety, panic attacks, and the sensory issues. All of these interact with each other and exacerbate each other, so there's really no breaking it down into single conditions. Human beings are complex, and the same illnesses are experienced totally different by different people. I do understand that, and I do get that. Yes, I do. Again, though, I do think this OP is in the wrong for what they are expecting from their boyfriend, like expecting them to just stand in silence in their own studio. Just shut the bloody door! Just don't understand why it's so hard. Oh, I feel sorry for the boyfriend, I really do. It's a tricky one, I get that, but I do feel sorry for the boyfriend. As discussions wore on, OOP edited with an update. So we had that update already, we read it, it was just basically said they accept that they're the butthole, blah blah blah. So then we have another update, August 23rd, 2021. OOP posted this while the first post was still under active discussion. It was quickly spotted and removed, but not before commenters reaffirmed their first verdict. I'm 27F, my boyfriend is 28M. I moved in with him last year after my sister, who I was living with before, tried to push me into moving out suddenly. I am disabled, have sensory issues, and cannot work, so moving in with my boyfriend was necessary. I also don't do well living alone due to my disabilities. I tried to explain this before, but I think I left out too much information to make sense. The central conflict is that my boyfriend's sculpture studio room is in a part of the house that I need to cross through to access the bathroom in the yard, and he constantly dances around while also bringing clients and buyers into the house. All of this makes me feel unsafe. It might be hard to understand for people without sensory issues, but him dancing around in the room is physically exhausting me, and I can sense him doing this even if I'm not in the room. Come on, OP, come on. This is the point where you've got to try and learn some coping mechanisms for yourself, because you've got to sit there and go, I understand that I cannot stop someone else from living their life because of my sensory issues. And yeah, if you were saying that your boyfriend was literally following you around the house dancing and mouthing things, then I'd be like, yeah, maybe he's being a butthole, but he's not. He's keeping to his room. You could go into a different room, different part of the house, watch something, you know, play something on your headphones or whatever. It's just one of those things. You have to learn to compromise. The presence of strangers in the house also is very unsafe and can cause me literal days of anxiety. My boyfriend and I had many discussions about the accommodations I need, and it seems like I'm simply not getting through to him on these issues, although he's considerate of my needs in some other areas regarding living together. Lately, we had an argument where I hid his studio keys as a result of being simply exhausted and needing to be able to rest in the house, which is my home too. I recognise hiding his keys was excessive, but my point is that I can't think well or make proper decisions in an environment where I don't feel safe and sane. Am I the butthole for needing to have my boundaries respected in my house? See, this is the kicker, isn't it, though? Because you can't say this is my boundaries and then have it be you are not allowed to silently mouth along to a song in a different room. That's not a boundary, that is just control. That is excessive. So then the person who's reposted this, saying they reposted that post on August 24th, apparently thinking that the problem was am I the butthole and not her actions, OOP turned to r/relationships. The post was removed, but the comments indicate that she was once again identified as the real problem. So then we have a post October 1st, 2021. A few months later, OOP's boyfriend, u/Hashamaya, I don't know if I said that right at all, I am sorry, asked his own Am I the Butthole? So he says, myself and girlfriend, both late 20s, she moved in with me last year and is multiply disabled. Her move coincided with financial need on her part. I was able to support her and I thought I was prepared to accommodate her other needs. I've sometimes needed to depend on others, or some friends have carried me. This made me committed to trying to make it work. It turns out that I fell short many times. A lot of tension grew around her sensory disorders, which made her vulnerable to upset from routine household things. I changed my lifestyle, new furnishings, minimizing sounds and smells, confining my work to one area of the house, restricting visitors and hobbies. Each time, a new issue popped up. Finally, she was agitated by my presence in the house at all, and I began to feel unwelcome. Yet, she also required me to help her, emotionally and materially. My work suffered, resentment grew. I gently pressed her to reach out to others for help, which met with resistance as she saw my suggestion as callousness. The rift widened, she became verbally hostile and more withdrawn. My mental health has its own quirks, so this made an impact on me. I've been struggling with guilt and depression. I reached a tipping point after missing work deadlines because it was easier to avoid the house than complete my work at home. I've worked hard to craft a career that brings me fulfillment, and I saw it collapsing. I went home, entered her room, and told her I can't continue. Yeah, that's so sad as well because it is so hard for people to create a career around their creative interests. And yeah, for him to do that and get a job that he loves and then her to basically try her best to ruin it, that's really sad. She lashed out about the ways in which she can't live alone. I opened my mouth. The words that came out are, well, it looks like you're doomed. I went on, if she can't live on her own, she can't cope with others and can't seek out other help. She is doomed, and that's that. I stopped short. The look on her face was of total horror and betrayal. It will haunt me. When I said it, I felt like I'd been walking on eggshells for months and that she needed to hear reality. Now I'm racked with regret and confusion. I've been staying in a hotel waiting to work out the logistics of living separately. She has refused to speak to me beyond texting me that I've caused deep trauma with my statement. I need to know if I actually crossed that line. Please know I'm not seeking advice on the relationship in general, which is over, but to morally weigh this utterance of mine. The relationship was already caused tension with my friends, and none of them are neutral enough to judge this. An acquaintance suggested I try here. Please give it to me straight. Even before the Reddit detectives had linked the posters, sympathy was largely with the boyfriend. I don't know if I might be being a dick saying this. I have this awful feeling that the OP is weaponizing their issues to control this bloke. Because, like he said, if you can't live alone, but you can't live with someone, and you can't ask anyone else for help and lean on anybody else, like, what else is supposed to be done? The original OP needs to take responsibility for herself in some way and go, okay, I'm gonna seek some help because this is not okay, and this is gonna spiral me into some very bad situations. So, a deleted user says, this is one of those rare breaking points I see here, which makes me say not the butthole. You bent over backwards and she still broke your back. Edit, holy shit. Thank you everyone so much for the awards. Text tone doesn't do my shock and appreciation justice. And then Minute Eye says, yep, this is the unfortunately common impossible problem phenomenon. OP is given the responsibility for fixing something, but all of the possible ways to fix it are declared impossible. But he's still expected to fix it. She probably genuinely believes each individual thing she's saying she needs, but her needs are contradictory. She either has to live with people or not with people. Those are literally the only two options. Yeah, and notice as well that her parents sort of pushed her onto the sister, and then the sister has also pushed her to move out, you have to start to look at yourself at that point and go, okay, maybe I'm the one here causing problems for myself, and I need to take responsibility for that, and I need to do something. It's very difficult to deal with mental health issues, but there does have to come a point where you have to accept help from outside sources if it is causing you such a problem in your life. The only way to deal with the impossible problem is to point it out, and it's never going to be welcomed, because no one wants to hear that they've created the impossible problem. OP, imagine this situation. She's standing on the train tracks, the train is coming. Get out of the way, you cry. I can't walk, she replies. Well, then I'll carry you off, you say. No, you can't touch me, she responds. Well, then I guess you're going to get hit by a train, you tell her. Blunt? Yes. Cruel? No, because getting hit by a train is literally the only option she has given herself. She's only going to be able to get out of the way of the train when she accepts the reality of the situation. Exactly. Several people asked the boyfriend about OOP's posts. He confirmed that that was his girlfriend. He seemed shaken. And then the boyfriend says, "Oh my god, that would be me, or rather us. My humming and dancing when I work, unconsciously for the most part. Sorry, I'm in a bit of shock. Is there a way to find this post?" And then they say, "Thank you. Wow, I knew she held most of these opinions, but seeing it all written out, this is a lot to take in right now." So since they broke up, this saga is concluded, but I do wonder what became of the OOP. What happened to the woman who can't live alone, can't live with others, can't work, and can't let anyone else work? We'll never know if OOP found another benefactor to control and criticise. I worry that they probably did, which is sad really, because I do think people like the original OP, they do kind of jump from pillar to post to whoever will take them, basically. But yeah, the boyfriend didn't say anything out of bounds, I don't think, when he said that, what are you actually supposed to do then? Like, what are you expecting? Because if you're saying you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do the third, and everything contradicts each other, what? At what point do you just go, something's gotta give, and it's only her that can do it? Anyway, I think we've waffled on this for too long. I'd love to hear your opinions on this. It's one of those ones that I feel like I have to tread very carefully with because, I understand disabilities, sensory issues, things like that. They are really difficult to deal with. So, I want to be sensitive to that, but I do also think the OOP was weaponizing those issues a little bit to control the boyfriend. What do you think? Do you read in that the same as me? I would love to know. Anyway, if you made it all the way to the end with me, then I appreciate you very, very much. If you give a little like, subscribe, notifications on, that is your initiation into the Coven of Void. Welcome. Whatever it is you're doing for the day, I hope you have a really good rest of the day. Goodbye.